Hello, and welcome to How to Be in the Spotlight with me, Rylan, the podcast where I speak to well-known figures about the ups and downs of life in the public eye. My guest this episode is a comedian best known for his iconic characters, Keith Lemon and Avid Merriam. It is, of course, Leigh Francis. I'm looking forward to this one, so expect some very potty-mouthed conversation with some very frank discussions on some very rude topics. Here's the real Leigh Francis. Leigh,
hello.
How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. I'm a bit flustered because I've been travelling on trains and tubes and Ubers to get here for you. Because I'd rather do this face-to-face than a Zoom thing. I feel better chatting to you face-to-face than
How was your journey?
Rubbish.
Really?
And I only got recognised once and a man just stood at me and laughed at me.
And I just walked off?
Yeah. And but you know, if I can just make someone laugh by doing nothing, I'm doing everything wrong, and I have been doing everything wrong. And I don't think I look particularly silly today. I've got a nice hat on, I've got a jumpsuit on.
Little denim jump?
I've got tartan trainers on.
Tartan trainers?
I look quite normal, I think.
Got old in you? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
You bugger.
Oh, what am I like? Leigh, I'm so glad you've come on because there's a lot to talk about with you and a lot to unpack.
Okay.
But before we start, I like to ask my guests the same question. What does being in the spotlight mean to you?
It doesn't mean much really, apart from it means you've been successful at doing what you like doing. It is weird, isn't it? I find it weird many a time, quite weird. But the job is so fun. Yeah, it's like a disease, isn't it? And you want to do it again, and you want to do it again. But I just go home and switch off and become dad and husband.
Do you switch off?
Yeah. My brain, my ideas don't switch off ever. But I don't do silly voices and stuff at home. I used to when the kids were younger, but now they just roll their eyes.
God's sake, Dad.
We used to do Superhero Sunday.
What was Superhero Sunday?
Just all dressed as superheroes. And I think because I had Lycra on, they liked climbing all over me and sliding all over me.
You still do that, don't you, Jill?
No, well, the kids don't do it anymore. Why are you just a Spider-Man? Just because it's comfortable.
Just because I want
to. I wear a bra cup where my faculty is, so you can't see me rim. Because I've got no...
Yeah. Is it your wife's bra cup or...?
Anyone's.
Did you buy them?
Well, I've just done a tour, so I've picked up many bra cups from the wardrobe because they know that I like a bra cup.
Oh, so is that on the rider?
Yeah, bra cup, Diet Coke, and one Budweiser. Only one. Not been drinking.
I love the fact you call it a faculty.
Yeah.
Leigh, when was the first time Leigh realised I've made it?
Okay, so the first time we did Bo Selecta, I remember it went out on a Friday. And I walked up Oxford Street on the Monday or Tuesday, and everyone was staring at me like my faculty was hanging out. And I thought, this is weird. I went into the office and I said, I think more people watched it than what the ratings say. I guess I wasn't used to it, was I? But when I felt like I made it was when I got a second series of Bo Selecta. I thought, I've got a career in television, and now I'll ask Jill to marry me because I'm a grown-up with a career. And that's what I did. And then that weekend, I went to Hatton Garden with my mate. He's older than me, so I thought he'd know about buying rings and stuff. And I bought Jill a ring for £300. And then I asked her to marry me. Well, I was going to ask her to marry me in New York, but she found the ring while she was packing extra shoes into my bag. And she went, what's this? And then so I did it in front of the clothes horse. And I was getting married and I had a second series of Bo Selecta, so I thought I've made it.
I've made it?
Yeah.
So tell me how Bo Selecta come about.
I made videos from when I was 16 just to show me mates. And then my girlfriend, Jill, who's my wife now, she said, why don't you send them to telly? So I sent them to telly. Then a show came on called Watch This Space that said, if you think you're better than our presenters, then come and audition. So I just ripped the piss out of their presenters. I just spoofed their show, but in my kitchen. And I did an audition and I came last. And again, I must, 20-something, I was too old for the show. And they said, we like your ideas though, so we're setting up a channel in a couple of weeks called the Paramount Channel. They said, we want to offer you a job as an ideas person. I said, amazing. What's that mean? And they said, just coming up with ideas. And I thought, yeah, what does that mean? But she went, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
I'll just come up with ideas.
Yeah.
And they said, what are you on at the moment? And I was on 10 a year. And I said, I get 11 a year. And they said, we'll give you 12. I went, okay. And then when I started, I went, yeah, in a week's time, put phone down. I went, I'm rich.
Yeah, rich, that's it.
I'm going to London. I'm going to be on telly. I came to London. I lived in a bed and breakfast for 2 weeks. Then I stayed on Keith Lemon. My mate in real life is called Keith Lemon.
Right, so this is very interesting. The character name Keith Lemon comes from a real man.
I've known him since I was 3.
And his real name's Keith Lemon.
Yeah.
His surname's Lemon.
And all it was, when I started doing characters and stuff, I said to Keith, I said, I'll give you a shout out on telly. He said, how will you do that? I said, I'll give a character your name. He went, I bet you do. I went, I will.
Turned out to be your biggest character.
Yeah. And then so I stayed on his sister's floor for 2 weeks. And then the guy who owned the complex of flats, he fancied her. And I said, I'll go out with him and try and get me a flat. So she went on a date with him and got me a flat. And then I was working at the Paramount Channel. I was storyboarding my ideas. They said, can you draw? I said, because they knew nothing about me apart from that audition.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. I used to be a graphic designer. They said, do you want to work in the art department? I went, yeah. So then I was making props for Matt Lucas and David Williams and stuff, because they would make interstitials and stings, those short bits in between programs. And I was giving them a video and a script every day. And if I didn't, I would like a panic attack. Oh no, I didn't give them a video.
Of you?
Yeah, doing stuff at home, characters and stuff. And then I wrote a sketch and filmed it at home with a cardboard cutout, and there's a character called Bobby Stark, and you had to guess which beautiful bird he was dating. Bobby Stark's Beautiful Birds, it was called. And it was always a cardboard cutout of a celebrity. But I tried to get Davina McCall involved in it. They said, if you can get Davina McCall, we'll do that sketch. You can have it on telly. Davina came and did it. I got on with her. She said, have you got an agent? I went, no. She went, here's the number of my agent. I went, thanks. She went, are you going to call him? I went, no. She went, do you want me to call him? I went, yeah. And so she called him, said nice things about me. I had a meeting with him and he signed me up.
Yeah.
And then John, my agent, Davina's agent, he said, I think you're shit. I went, okay. He says, I like it when you do your characters though.
Right.
He says, what about if Leigh Francis is dead and we just do your characters?
So no Leigh.
Yeah, it was his idea. I'm in my 20s. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. And he went, okay, next week, come into my office in character. Let's see if I can throw you out. Let's see what character you can do that you can stay in character. So I came in as, I think, Barry Gibson, who is the bear as a human. And he just sit there saying, what's your mum's name? Where do you come from? How old are you? Where do you live? And you just have to make it all up. And then he texted me, went, brilliant, next day, come as somebody else. So then I went as somebody else. I did Avid Merrion, I did Keith Lemon, I did Barry Gibson's mum. But you know what? When I used to have these meetings in his office, I didn't have the balls to come from my house dressed in character. I used to get changed in a phone box outside his...
Like Superman.
Like a shit Superman, outside his office. And at the end of the week, he went, right, this is who I like. And we're going to have meetings with commissioners. We're not going to tell the commissioner that you're coming and you're going to turn up in character. And he set up a meeting with a guy called Stuart Murphy, who was in charge of a channel called UK Play.
Oh, I remember that.
And then he got him a little bit drunk. I'd wait in John's car to wait to get the text message that just said, now.
Come in.
And then I'd go in, I'd walk past the window and knock on the window and wave at him. And then he'd, come in. And I'd come in dressed as whoever.
Just like all by chance.
Yeah. And I came that night and did 3 characters at once. I had a bag in the toilets already to get changed, like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the evening, he said to John, he said, I think you're taking advantage of this people because they're obviously slow. I thought, no, the characters are slow. They're socially inept a little bit.
No, he didn't realise they were characters.
No. Well, he's boozed up a little bit as well.
He's like, you got these 3 people.
And then John...
Hang on, didn't realise not one that they were just characters, but it was still you.
Yeah.
The same person.
Yeah. And then John said, well, I'm going to tell you, it's all one person. And then Stuart Murphy went, he can have his own show then.
Wow.
And then a week later, I had my own show.
And that was it.
But yeah, these sketches went well. Channel 4 said, if you come up with an idea for your own show, we'll do a pilot. I gave them 36 ideas that they said no to.
Wow.
And then Jill's brother said, why don't you just do that thing with the masks? It's funny. I said, yeah, okay. So I wrote that and it was called Poppelganger. And
that's quite a good title.
Well, you know what? They took so long deciding. Another show came out called Poppelganger. Yeah. So Robert Popper, the commissioner, he said, why don't we just call it Bo Selecta? I went, we can't call it Bo Selecta because that's one of the characters' catchphrases, really. I said, we might as well call it Charmone. He went, well, let's call it Charmone then. And I went, you can't call it Charmone. What does that mean? And he went, well, let's call it Bo Selecta then. And I went, okay.
And that's how it happened.
And that's how it happened. Yeah, first series went out, and now I'm back to Oxford Street walking up there. That was like a Pulp Fiction film, wasn't it? Like a Quentin Tarantino. I did it all out.
Well,
of
we've run
sync.
out of time now.
Have we?
So, no, of course you haven't.
And then it did well. And then it did well again. And it did all right. And then I didn't want to do it again. Because on the third time, I can remember I couldn't even say thank you, please, or hello to you. I'd had enough. I thought I was going to start crying.
Really that
Because I
bad?
was sick of it.
Did you get to a point where you were like, I can't fucking do this no more?
Yeah, we were doing like extras for the DVD. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to do it anymore. And the glasses hurt you. I've got a cheek full of blisters from the masks. And I said, I don't want to do it anymore. And, you know, I was Avid Merrion quite a lot. A lot of people didn't know I was, because I didn't go around as me.
No.
I went around as Avid Merrion. Channel 4 sent 20% of my earnings to foreign national taxes.
Like genuinely?
Yeah, 20% of my earnings of Bo Selecta went to foreign national taxes, because I told them I was from Arachnipus, which is near Transylvania.
How did it feel being someone else?
Exciting. Felt exciting. And it was wonderful convincing people you were someone else. I liked the fact that no one knew I was for a while. I did. I had a good friend that got publicly sacked, and I really felt really bad for her. And I thought, wow, if that was me, how would I feel? Luckily, I'm never me, so it's my characters that gets slurred or slagged or sacked, and not me. So I could hide behind it, really, and say things that I would never say as me. There's loads of things I would never say as me. The social inept, most of the characters I do that don't know where the line is. Even Keith Lemon, who's in my eyes just a man. The idea was he's a man, because Avid was a stalker. I can remember John Knoll wasn't really into Keith Lemon. He went, "What is he? Oh, he's a bloke that thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't know anything." And I can remember my mate who filmed the early mask stuff I did. He said, "It's the biggest con ever that you, in character, got on primetime TV." I said, "I know, but that was the mission."
And you did it?
Yeah.
So Keith comes along.
Yeah. You know what? I drew a picture of Keith Lemon and a picture of Avid Merrion and framed them and put them up in the kitchen on the kitchen wall. And I said to Jill, one of them will buy us a house. And I guess that's manifesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I read Jerry Halliwell's biography and got some advice from it. She doesn't know this, I don't think, but she did. She's stuff like when you're feeling a bit down and stuff. And I can't remember what she said, but in my head, I took just think about the things that you've got and feel happy. So any time I'm a bit down, I know this podcast's not about feeling down, but we're not always up, are we?
No.
I go, wow, I've got a sofa. Can you imagine being a kid and thinking, how do you buy a sofa? And when you buy a sofa,
You've actually bought one?
it takes ages, doesn't it, to buy a sofa?
Fucking nightmare.
And having a tree in my garden, stuff like that, just cheers me up. When I feel a bit, you know, when you're waiting to see if you've got a commission and all that shit. I've got a tree in my garden, fuck it, fuck telly. But I do love making telly.
Did you know how big he could become?
I did a travel show called Keith Lemon's Very Brilliant World Tour. So I'm sat in my kitchen with Ben Palmer. Do you know who Ben Palmer is? He's directed loads of things. He's recently just directed the Dick Turpin thing with Noel Fielding on Apple. But he did In Between Us.
Right.
Sat in our kitchen and came up with this idea for Keith Lemon travelling around the world. And we sent it to about 20 people in my kitchen and just waited 20 minutes. Bing! Zy Bennett from ITV2, come in, have a meeting. And I took a pile of Nuts magazines, FHM, what were the other lads' magazines? Zoo. And just put it on his table. I went, those magazines are Keith Lemon. And then I showed him a tape of Keith Lemon with Fabio, who was a model in the 80s.
Long-haired Fabio.
Yeah. He was on the front of Mills and Boon's romance novels. And I showed him it and he laughed. I went, we didn't write anything there. He says, we want to go around the world following a shark-shaped flight plan and we don't want to write anything. He says, we want to live the character and see what happens. And he went, give me 2 weeks. And then he came back and said, yes, I dyed my hair so I looked like a shit Anthea Turner with a tash. I grew a tash. And that was, people thought I had a wig on. So it was so dyed. I fucking hated that hair.
Yeah, it fucking kills your hair.
Yeah, it does. It's funny because when Keith Lemon started looking, I'm even going to contradict myself now, started looking more like me.
Yeah.
But he looked like me then. I walked around like that.
That's what you look like
Avid
then.
Merrion looked like me.
Yeah.
But that hairstyle was cut like that on purpose.
Just
'cause
you heightened.
it was the look of Avid Merrion. Who he was inspired by my drawing teacher at art college, who was called Lem Merians, but I didn't know how to spell his surname. And he was Latvian, and he would go, if you do pencil and then go over with pen, I will kill you dead, you bloody bastard. Which I laughed at all the time. I thought he's a wonderful guy. And I really looked up to him, and I thought he was ace. And funny enough, Ed Sheeran's dad was his manager, my drawing teacher at art college. So when Ed Sheeran came on Celebrity Juice and was drinking a cup of coffee that wasn't filled with coffee but was filled with gin, and we got fucking drunk out of our minds, he said to me, he says, do you know Lemurians? I said he was my Jedi master at art college. He says, my dad used to represent him. He said, but he used to pay him with artwork. He said, I've got loads of his work. I went, amazing. He went, do you want some? Oh. I went, yeah. A couple of weeks later, I got a crate with 2 big paintings in from Ed Sheeran signed on the back, and it's my drawing teacher's work.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
I love
what
that.
a lovely man Ed Sheeran is to do that.
Yeah, he's proper decent.
And yeah, where was I?
So we're talking about Keith Lemon.
Oh yeah, so I did a travel show.
Massive.
I became Keith Lemon like I was Avid, because I can remember being called Avid when I in my mind I'm Keith Lemon now.
Yeah.
But people still calling me Avid. Then suddenly they stopped calling me Avid and they started calling me Keith Lemon.
But there's something really interesting about that. Because how do you deal with that? From going from Leigh, to being
I was dead.
Avid.
We decided I didn't.
So
exist.
Leigh's dead.
Yeah.
But then you're Avid.
You know what's good about it though? It's a clock in, clock off process.
Is it though?
Avid, neck brace. I'm Avid Merian. Take it off, I'm me.
Well, because I remember every time we used to see each other in work, out of work.
I was always Keith Lemon.
But it was always the bandage.
Bandage on.
For Keith.
Yeah. Bandage off, me.
But is Keith not Leigh just on steroids?
Near the end, it's merged into me because the comedy landscape has changed, and you can't say things that you used to say. Also, I grew up a little bit. I've got kids. It's embarrassing when you go do the school run, when the night before you're running about in a studio with your big fat dick out. That I'll tell you now is not my dick. Even my mum phoned me up and said, is that you? I said, Mum. I said, right, first of all, I came out of you. You must have seen me here or there. I says, that dick is so big. I'm in the garden now on the phone to you. I could go for a piss upstairs in the house. It was modelled on a porn actor's dick. I don't know where it came from, but basically...
you're welcome.
Yeah, mine's inside it, all crying like a wet prawn. When do I come out for my dinner? And then it was sewn on some fleshy underpants, and I used to get me willy out on Celebrity Juice just to shock Holly and stuff, because they thought he ain't really going to take all his clothes off.
I remember the first time I got asked to come on Celebrity Juice, and to me that was like my I've made it moment.
Was it?
Yeah, 100%, because it was the show that everyone wanted to do but was shit scared to do at the same time.
Well, it was fun, wasn't it?
It was so fun, and it was a cultural phenomenon, the show, and I still believe it changed how TV was around that time, because it was so outlandish and so shocking that it was exactly what was needed at the time.
Because it was more shocking than Bo Selecta was.
Majorly more shocking.
It was just basically say anything, and anyone who came on, I would say anything you want. If you're not happy with it, tell the lawyers at the end and they'll cut it out, or tell the producer. If you weren't happy with it, we didn't dupe anyone.
No.
Everyone that came on, you wanted them to come back.
Yeah.
You wanted them to have my mission was to make sure that when you come on Celebrity Juice, you never go on another show like it and have that fun time.
Was there ever a moment on Juice where you've sat there and gone, fuck?
Loads, just saying shit. The shit that I used to say to Fern. You know, I'd say terrible stuff to her, and it gets so...
But she took it. She was in on it.
Totally, because we were mates. You know, when we sit in the dressing room, me, Holly and Fern in the dressing room, just gossiping like three old ladies.
Yeah. How many series did it go for in the end?
26. 14 years.
Leigh, that don't happen.
Doesn't happen now, does it, I guess?
But it didn't happen really then.
No, it didn't. I always thought if you get 3 series, that's a hit.
You've done well.
And if you're confident enough and got the balls, so just leave after 3.
Yeah.
But I was enjoying it too much. We always said when one of us leaves, Holly or Fern, we'll all leave. And then Fern left and she said, don't leave. And I said to Holly, I went, what do you want to do? She went, I think we should still do it. It's fun, innit? But I remember getting the phone call. I was in the pub with my mate, and they said they're not doing any more juice. And I went, okay. And then my mate went, who was that? I says, it was the production company saying there's no more juice. He went, how do you feel? I went, good. I says, 26 series, 14 years. I went, fucking hell, that was an incredible ride.
Yeah.
I was chuffed. I was like, I wasn't going to go, oh, but why? But yeah, it was done. And people say, I'll do a live stream now, and people go, when's it coming back? But it's only been off a year, but I don't think it'll ever come back. I mean, never say never, but I'm not planning to knock on their door and say, can it come back?
It was nominated for a BAFTA.
It won a BAFTA.
And then it won a BAFTA.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind when you've heard, we've been nominated for a BAFTA for what we do on this show?
Yeah, because it's proper dick about TV.
Yeah.
Someone said that I make lowbrow comedy. I turn lowbrow comedy into an art form. I don't know if they meant it as a slur, but I took it as a compliment. I thought, wow, yeah, that's what I do.
Did you think you were going to win it?
No, we're like, what are we even here for? You sit there thinking we're going to get kicked out any minute soon. And it was the viewer's choice thing. And I think Towie had won it the previous year, and people were up in a stink about it, that Towie had won a BAFTA. And I said, it's good that Towie won. I said, it can be a bit snooty, can't it, television? And I thought, if it's the viewer's choice, and Towie was big then as well, I guess. And then a few years down the line, I was up for Best Entertainment Presenter, or yeah, that's what it was, for Juice. And I was against Ramesh, Stephen Fry and Graham Norton. I ain't going to win. And then Fern went up to present an award and came back and sat next to me. She went, have you got a speech ready? No. She went, you should get one ready. And then, so they haven't won. She went, you never know. And then I just went like this. And then I thought, what's this under me chair? And there was a sticker that said my name. That's weird. And then I won. I just felt terribly embarrassed. And then I put a pretend posh voice on. Because the previous time when I'd been up on stage, I put my tongue inside the BAFTA's eye. I don't know why I did that. It's like some weird inflection that happens where I do something naughty.
Leigh, you really have had a brilliant career. You made such a success.
Yeah, but you're always panicking, aren't you? Every time you finish a job, you go, fuck, it's over.
Well, you sit there and say that, but obviously you've had your low points as well.
Yeah.
You know, looking back at Bo Selecta in recent years, there's been a bit of controversy surrounding certain characters that you did. Because the difference between Bo Selecta and things, I don't know, other things that have maybe been in the spotlight of recent years, like Little Britain and things like that, you had real people characters in Bo Selecta, where you would imitate people in real life.
You say imitate, but it was create personas for famous names.
Exactly, but their names were attached to it, and so and so. Looking back now, some of the characters that you did, have you got any regrets about what you did?
At the time of doing Bo Selecta, that was the landscape then. And if I hadn't done what I did then, it wouldn't have led to who I am now, I guess. So it's always changing, isn't it? The plane of what's wrong and right, basically. Things weren't wrong then.
No.
And, people were all into it. So then suddenly it turns into a bad thing, and you're like, oh, you don't want it to be a bad thing because it was never meant with any malice, ever. Because it was so stupid, Bo Selecta. It was childish playground humour, and everything was flipped on its head. Nothing was real. So I don't understand why it ever got taken so seriously to offend anyone, because it's so fucking stupid. But if someone is offended, I'm not happy about that. And I always think you've got to apologise, and then I get loads of shit for apologising from people. But it's not their apology, it's my apology. And because you don't set out to purposely attack anyone in a derogatory way, humour was like that then. It was different, wasn't it?
It was.
You wouldn't do it now, the same. I've just done a tour, and there's a lot of mass characters on there, but what I do now is I send a picture of them to them and go, do you like this? And that normally ticks the box, going, oh, we're all right, the photo funny. Or let them know, just let them know and see what the reaction is.
Do you think you could ever go as far as you used to go again?
In what way?
In the respect of pushing the boundaries as much as you did? Like when
I
you
didn't
look
feel
back
I
at
was pushing the
Celeb Juice
boundaries.
and
I didn't
things
feel I
like
was
that,
pushing the boundaries.
you didn't.
Not really. I just thought it was really silly. We never thought we were edgy or naughty. Just the fact that we said motherfucker, that was wow.
Apparently that's the worst word you can say in telly.
Yeah, well, what happened is they said no more than 3 motherfuckers. And then when we did Michael Jackson,
We've had 5 this podcast now.
Mother flippers.
Yeah.
We said mother flipper all the time. And they says, oh, you've said it so many times, it's cancelled itself out. So I guess the language we felt we were bad. But we've had the characters back then, especially, you know, when you get guests on and they condone it, you go, oh, they're fine with it then.
Cool.
I guess. And if they'd have said they were upset with it, then I guess you would have gone, oh, why? Oh, sorry, we won't do it anymore then. That'd be it.
And if that was the case, you would have gone, yeah, all right.
Yeah, you don't want to upset anyone.
No.
You know?
But your characters have always been outrageous. They've always been
I think
shocking.
there's socially inept.
Yeah.
And you know, Keith Lemon, he's supposed to be laughing at him like he's a dickhead, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that's why it works so well with Holly and Fern, because they were there as the adults.
Yeah.
That would tell him to fucking shut up and
don't
stuff.
do
And
it.
that works so well with Holly and Fern because you go, because he's a dickhead. And near to the end, he did change.
Well, you did start that transition of Keith. And from looking outside in, it looked like Keith becoming more like Leigh.
Yeah.
And that must have been a conscious decision from you because, you know, you're not going to be Keith for the rest of your life, are you?
No.
So what was the process in you trying to do that?
When Celebrity Juice finished, I just thought I'm free.
Is that how you felt?
Yeah. I thought I'm free now.
And was that it for you? It's like Keith's dead now.
Not dead. No one's ever
Resting.
No one's ever. I say if they've gone on holiday. Because when I did finish Bo Selecta, there's certain characters that I missed, like they were my brothers or something. I thought, shit, I'm going mad. It's me pretending to be them
because they've been such a massive part of your life.
Yeah, and I guess I'll miss Keith Lemon at one point. But at when I turned 50, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a break from doing that now, and just do me. And I did Portrait Artist of the Year, which was lovely. And I was just doing things that normally people wouldn't invite me on. Like, I think I'm doing The Wheel next week or something. I can't remember, but just people wouldn't have me on shows like that in character because I'm there to cause havoc, aren't I? And then when you get there, you go, right, let's cause havoc. And if I was here now in character, I wouldn't be as civilized as this. Right. You know, I wouldn't be.
You'd have your big willy out.
I'd be doing things, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a little rest and come on and have a chat. Normal.
Do you miss it?
No. No, I still dick about. No, I still dick about. You can still have fun. You just don't have to wear a bandage.
Did it feel quite liberating not being famous as yourself?
Yeah, because there's a wall, isn't there? The safety wall that you can hide behind. And that doesn't mean say something nasty, then hide behind it.
Bastard and then run away.
Yeah, all on me was the character. Because, you know, it's still you playing it.
Being more Leigh now, is it more frightening?
It used to be when I started being me, which is only last year, really.
It's not long.
And a lot of people don't know where I've come from or really who I am. So it's easy for them to hate you. And, you know, when you get shit online, people hating you and saying you this and that, it's fucking horrendous and you feel like the devil. And it's funny, Jill said that she gets acupuncture. And she said the guy who does acupuncture was asking her if I'm like that in real life. Well, how close is he to Keith Lemon? She went, he's the polar opposite of Keith Lemon. So when you do get nasty shit online, it's fucking horrendous. When all you've tried to do is make people laugh, and that was your main goal. No, do you know what? I want to do something quite serious, really.
Genuinely?
Yeah, I want to do some sort of...
Because I feel like I've not seen that from you. But now you're you.
Yeah, well, again, look, I wouldn't be able to do it as in character, some of the things that I want to do.
So what do you want to do?
I'd like to do something with Jill because I think she's miles better looking than I am.
Jill is a beautiful woman.
And funnier than me.
Would you not worry about that, though?
What, you mean exposing that side of things?
You've lived a very lucky life in the respect of...
privacy.
You could be Leigh behind closed doors.
Yeah. I only kind of hid because I wasn't selling me. I was selling my characters, and that's why I hid. But I think you can do you, and you decide how much you're going to give to a certain extent. I know you've had more eyes on you than... Well, I haven't had any eyes on me. I've just had, ha, 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 he's fucking horrible. and that's it really. Where you've had scrutiny on you from the press, I guess. So,
are you ready for that? Are you ready to be you?
I don't really have any secrets though, do I? I think they've said everything about me.
I think
I can remember once in press, I read that I was son of a mattress maker.
Oh.
And then I went, what the fuck's that mean? And I asked my mum, did you work in a mattress factory? I said, oh, yes, I did, before you were born. What the fuck? And also, my granddad was a Romani gypsy.
Really?
And when I was a kid, I was terrified of that getting out. We used to go to when gypsies would pull up. I know you can't say can you say
Yes,
gypsies?
Travellers,
I can because
gypsies.
I'm related to Romani
Yes.
gypsies. But I can remember when gypsies would pull up near us where I lived, and we'd all go up to them and like play chicken because we thought it was a scary thing. And I was just terrified that my fucking auntie was going to be in there and ask me for a cup of tea. Then all my mates give me loads of shit and call me a gypsy.
Really?
Yeah, I was fucking terrified as a kid because you didn't need to pick on you for anything when you're a kid. So I didn't tell anyone. I can even remember when Keith Lemon was happening and stuff, people coming up to me going, are you related to Travellers? And I would go, no. I thought, how the fuck does he know? And but in my mind, I wasn't related to Travellers. My granddad was a Romani gypsy. And I never saw him in a caravan or on a gypsy site. But
Sorry, say caravan again?
I know I say it wrong, don't I?
Caravan?
Caravan.
You
How do you
went
say
a caravan?
And my mate takes piss out of me for how I say caravan. How do you say it?
Caravan.
How do I say it?
Caravan.
So I never saw him in a caravan. But I did see my grandma had a photograph of him sat with a horse with a suit and tie on and a hat on.
Really?
What's those big horses with the big hairy feet?
Big horse.
Yeah, big horse. And his caravan was one of those, with the round...
Oh, like a wagon?
Yeah, like one of those.
Like a fortune teller wagon?
Yeah, exactly like that. And he lived in one of them.
Oh, my goodness.
I've told you more than I've ever told anyone, and I've got a book coming out in September that you can pre-order from Waterstones and Amazon.
I'll cut that out.
Don't edit it out. That's all I've got to plug.
Honestly, Leigh, you are, for want of a better term, such a character. Because what I'm fascinated about you by is that you've lived your whole sort of professional life as someone else.
Yeah.
And it's not just one person, it's a number of faces.
Yeah.
But it's always been as someone else. And now you're entering the big bad world that you've done so well out of.
Well, I might crash and burn.
As
and if I do, I'll just fuck off. But it has been great fun. And I've been doing it for 30 years. So if it doesn't work, it can go fuck itself. I've had an ace time. I'll get a real job.
I asked you right at the beginning of this, what does it mean to you to be in the spotlight? I'm going to ask you the same question again at the end of this chat. As Leigh, what does it mean to you to be in the spotlight?
Let's find out.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.